Thanks to books, we can expand our horizons and go on a trip without leaving home. Of course, reading books is an excellent leisure activity, but there are several mystical and mysterious books in the world that should never be opened, lest disaster occur. In today's episode, we will tell you about 8 such books that are best never read or even opened, so sit back and let's get started. Book of Holy Magic of Abramelin. The Book of Saint Magi Abramelin is a 15th century manuscript that was translated into English in 1900. Since then, this book has been considered cursed. This book was written by a certain Abraham of Witzburg. After he went to Egypt, there he met the magician Abramelin. The magician taught Abraham a secret ancient magic, which became the basis of the book. Abramelin told the traveler about such things as raising the dead, acquiring treasures, summoning spirits, restoring the invisible, summoning thunderstorms, and the ability to travel by air and water. After returning from Egypt, Abraham began to believe that there is a demon in every person. In the book he describes methods by which this demon can be controlled and summoned when necessary. However, all these abilities come at a heavy price. It is believed that any person who owns this book will be haunted by ghosts. The person will be unhappy and unlucky, and will eventually die at a young age. Saiga. The Book of Saiga is also known as the Book of the Assassin. This book in Latin was published in the 16th century. It is dedicated to magical rituals and spells. It was hopelessly lost, but in 1992 manuscripts were found in the British Library. It is noteworthy that this book includes 40,000 letters, arranged in a strange sequence, representing a coded description of magical rituals. One of the manuscripts found in 1990 was owned by the famous scientist John Dee. He devoted much of his life trying to decipher Saiga's code. According to rumors, he was so depressed that he could not decipher the code that he called an angel from heaven to help him in this matter, and also shared some secrets with him. As legend has it, Archangel Uriel appeared to him and told him that the book appeared after Adam was expelled from paradise. Uriel told the scientist that only Archangel Michael could decipher the code. Of course, no one has been able to decipher Saiga's secret message, but deciphering the code is not the only problem. It is believed that anyone who manages to decipher the code will die within 2.5 years. There are currently 2 copies of the book, but since the code was never deciphered, the book remains a real mystery to this day. Necronomicon. The Necronomicon is also known by such names as the Key to the Gates of Hell, the Book of Evil, the Book of the Dead, and so on. The book describes magical rituals about the resurrection of the dead. The Necronomicon is considered to be a fictional book created by Howard Lovecraft, American writer of the 20th century who worked in the genres of horror, mystery, and fantasy. Even though the book is fictional, some people are surprised that it is actually real. Lovecraft's plots impressed people so much that they decided to create this book themselves, using all the references to it in the writer's very plots. Therefore, today there are a huge number of sites on the internet where anyone is offered to familiarize themselves with the contents of this legendary work. The Necronomicon often appears in literary works based on the Cthulhu mythos, a universe that was imagined by Lovecraft. In these stories, Cthulhu appears before us as a powerful creature that can influence the minds of people. According to the myth of Cthulhu, the author of the Necronomicon is the fictional character Abdul al-Hazred, who created the book from human flesh. The Necronomicon describes in detail a variety of magical rituals and sacrifices, so this book is one of the most creepy and mysterious in the whole world, even though it was actually fictional. Hell Tamino. Tamino's Hell is a Japanese poem that appears in a book called The Heart Like a Tumbleweed, written in 1919. The poem describes the story of the boy Tamino, who grieves for the dead members of his family. The poem represents pure suffering. Many people believe that Tamino's Hell is a cursed poem that should never be read out loud, but only silently. It is believed that anyone who reads Tamino's Hell out loud will soon die, and his damned soul will be sent to the most terrible and dark corners of the underworld. It is believed that the curse will only be imposed on the one who reads the original in Japanese. We do not recommend reading it out loud, even translations of the poem. Orphan Story. The Story of the Orphan is a book written in the early 17th century by a monk who broke a sacred vow. The book tells the story of a boy who left Spain at the age of 14 and went to seek adventure in the Spanish colonies overseas. The book mainly describes how the boy sailed the ocean, ran into pirates, and generally had a lot of adventures. He eventually became a soldier, then a monk and then an archbishop. Despite numerous attempts at interpretation and translation, the book The History of the Orphan was published only in 2018, that is, 4 centuries after it was written. The fact is that, according to rumors, any person who begins to study this book will meet a sad end. In this regard, many consider this book to be cursed. However, the man who published The Story of the Orphan last year claims that the book, on the contrary, helps to better understand the times of the Spanish Golden Age. Grimoire. A grimoire is a book that describes magical rituals and instructions for casting spells. Many witches believed that the grimoire should be burned after the death of the witch so that her magical secret would remain a secret. In 2013, a website held a sale on a collection of grimoires that was purchased for $13,000. This price is due to the fact that the books belong to the famous witch and high priestess Wicca, who lived in the 20th century. One of the grimoires contained spells that allowed one to summon evil and good spirits. Curses, recipes for potions and medicines were also written there. It's funny, but this grimoire even contained a recipe for making hairspray. The buyer and seller wished to remain anonymous. It is worth saying that most of the main texts in that grimoire were written using the ancient alphabet. Previously, such a cipher was used to preserve the secrets of witchcraft. When experts deciphered the code, they found out that the grimoire contained the following warning. The book is forbidden to be read by those not initiated into the craft. Do not continue or punishment will overtake you and you will suffer from the same craft. Codex Gigas. In 1648, the 30 Years' War was gradually approaching its end. By that time, the Swedish army had entered Prague and mercilessly plundered the city. The soldiers took back to Sweden many treasures of artifacts, including a book called the Codex Gigas. Later this code will go down in history as the Devil's Bible. The Codex was written in the 12th century, attributed to a certain monk who broke a sacred dinner, just like the author, The Story of an Orphan. As punishment, he was sentenced to death. He was placed in a brick room without windows or doors to starve to death. In these difficult last days of his life, the monk decided to write a book in which he told everything he knew about humanity. According to legend, feeling the approach of death, he called the devil and asked him to finish the book for him in exchange for his soul. As the legend says, the devil eventually completed this code. The original Codex Gigas had 320 pages, but 10 pages were subsequently torn from the book. The Codex contained rituals and information about demons, as well as a portrait depicting the devil himself. The Great Grimoire. The Grand Grimoire is also known as the Red Dragon and the Gospels of Satan. This ancient book describes the price that must be paid for powerful power. It is believed that it was written by a man who was possessed by the devil. The original Great Grimoire is considered one of the darkest books in the history of mankind. This manuscript is considered so dangerous that it is even kept in a secret vault in the Vatican Library. Not much is known about the text of the book. For example, it is known that it was written in 1512, and subsequently various variations of this terrible work were published. The Great Grimoire describes methods and techniques with which you can summon the most powerful and terrible demons to earth. It is believed that anyone who reads the Great Grimoire will sell their soul to the devil. And that is why this book is considered so dangerous. Now let's talk about another interesting thing that sometimes you shouldn't open for your own safety. Parcel from the Darknet. If you have never heard of the Darknet, then I will quickly explain to you what it is. This term describes a hidden, encrypted network, so it will be quite difficult to access Darknet sites through regular browsers and search engines. Much of the Darknet is known for being a place where you can buy illegal products. Recently, many YouTubers have begun to practice a new format. They buy packages from the Darknet. They receive a box whose contents are unknown to them. The YouTuber turns on the camera and begins unpacking the package. However, some boxes on the dark web may contain some downright terrible stuff. For example, one YouTuber received a truly creepy package. After he opened the box, he saw a piece of paper with an inscription. "You shouldn't accept packages from strangers. Good luck." In addition, Aaron found tape, surgical gloves, cable ties, and a hand drill in the box. Aaron believed that all these things could be used to perform some kind of terrible ritual. Also in the box he found a disc with a video on which a certain girl was captured. Having compared all the facts, he assumed that all the things he found in the box could have been used for the purpose of kidnapping. In any case, the answer was never found. One way or another, we categorically do not advise you to buy parcels from the Darknet. Firstly, because it is dangerous. And secondly, you may receive a box with very creepy contents. Although, we know many YouTubers how they fake their videos, it seems to me that this dude sent this box to himself simply to inspire some kind of mystical atmosphere, and to raise his image a little, as they say. Thank you for watching.